holy men, and he wasn't about to break the statute in their presence. Now let's go to Abraham before Lot, and of course centuries before Sinai, where it says, because Abraham obeyed my voice, kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. It's so amazing that people teach from pulpits that the statutes weren't added until Mount Sinai. Here we have Abraham centuries before Sinai keeping the statutes. Lot, Joseph, and so on. In fact, if you want to know the truth about it, the statutes were really a problem before the flood. Noah's day, that's right. From Manuscript Releases Volume 2, notice as I quote it, men may trace in the broken surface of the earth the evidence of the flood. Men thought themselves wiser than God and altogether too wise to obey his laws, keep his commandments, and obey the statutes and the precepts of Jehovah. Well, of course, you know they knew the statutes before the flood anyway. How else would Noah have known the difference between clean and unclean animals? So centuries upon centuries later, Polycarp said that Paul was not teaching anything new and original, and he certainly wasn't. His teachings were things of olden days. Now, they might appear new and original to us, but not to Paul or Polycarp. You know, before we complete Paul's journeys, we should even go further into the past to see that the divine feasts were established way back at creation of all things. We're going to look at creation. And we're going to study from Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Writing of the starry heavens at creation, the King James Bible says, speaking of the sun and the moon and whatnot, let them be for signs and for seasons, for days and years. Now this word seasons is very interesting, and I'm glad the SDA Bible Commentary brings it out. First volume BC, page 213, where it speaks of these seasons as yearly returning festival periods. That's right. Whose yearly returning festival periods? Well, who put them up there? And of course, other definite times. Now, creation from the new internet, from the NEV, quote, let them be for festivals and for seasons and for years. The signs in the heavens, the sun, the moon, and so on. Let us tell from those when seasons begin. Festivals for seasons. Whose festivals? Well, who put up the signs? From the Good News Bible. Let them serve for the time when days and years and religious festivals begin. You see, it was all set in the stars way back at creation. Many centuries after creation, as God's people were taken out of Egypt, God gave them a reminder of these things through Moses. Let's see that reminder. We're going back to Sinai now. This is centuries, of course, this side of creation. Leviticus 23, 2 through 4. After 400 years of slavery in Egypt, quote, speak unto the children of Israel and say to them concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of rest. And holy convocation, ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. It's even clearer that the Sabbath is his first feast in the NIV. But the King James was very good. These are the feasts of the Lord. Whose feast? The Lord's feast. When were they established? At creation. Who enjoyed them? The patriarchs. And now they're being repeated through Moses. Even holy convocations ye shall proclaim in their seasons. After this text, he discusses the annual ones. All of these are the seasons of the Lord, whose timing was set in the stars at creation. The times were set for all 8 feasts at creation. They were dishonored in the world before the flood. They're dishonored in the world now before the second coming and the fire. But they were honored by Noah Abraham, by Lot, by Joseph and Moses, and by the apostles, and especially Paul. I wonder why we haven't been. We'll talk about that later. They'd been established in the beginning by God and later given to the children of Israel forever. And how does that line up with the 144,000 children of the tribes of Israel? We'll take a look at that when we study the 144,000 on a future tape in this series. Now this brings us to a very interesting question. When were the feasts changed and by whom? Daniel 7, verse 25. From the Good News Bible, speaking of the little horn representing the Roman power, quote, "He will try to change their religious laws and festivals, and God's people will be under his power for 3.5 years. Oh yes, there were more institutions than just the Sabbath that were wiped out about the same time. Daniel 7:25 by Moffat, quote, "He shall plan to alter the sacred seasons and the law, and for 3.5 years the saints shall be handed over to him." The NIV, Daniel 7:25, "He will speak great words against the Most High and oppress his saints and try to change the set times and the laws." Where were the set times set? They were set at creation. But here's a power that rises itself up higher and says, I'm going to change them. Daniel 7:25, the New American Bible, "He shall speak against the Most High, thinking to change the feast days and the laws." Does this sound unusual to you? Friends, it's exactly what happened. The King James simply says, "He shall think to change times and laws," and now we're finding out what times. What does the Amplified Version say? Look at this, very clear. Quote, "And he shall speak words against the Most High God, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change the times of sacred feasts and holy days and the law." And our friends, the Catholic and the Douay Version, quote, "Thinking to change the feast days and the law." In the past, we've simply said, "He shall change times and laws," but under investigation and honest scrutiny, these times have a great deal of significance. The papacy truly changed every divine institution. You know, when studying a certain letter, as we get together and enjoy lectures on the mark of the beast, that letter is often read from Father Enright, Priest Enright. I believe he was the first cardinal for the United States. Did a lot of good for a lot of people in a lot of ways. But not all of his letter is quoted when we read about the mark of the beast. Let's look at that letter. Here it comes right up on the screen. Quote, "I have offered and still offer $1,000 to anyone who can prove to me from the Bible alone that I am bound in a grievous sin to keep Sunday holy. The church made this law long after the Bible was written. The Catholic Church abolished not only the Sabbath, but all other Jewish festivals." Well, of course, that's what the Bible said, and that's what has happened. So, whose 8 feasts have been changed, and by whom? Our Creator said these are my feasts. Enright said they are Jewish feasts. What do you say? God said, "I will not alter the things that have gone out of my lips." Daniel said the little horn would speak great words out of his lips and change the times and laws of God. Well, friends, we know who established the feast. God did. That Paul and his converts kept the feast. That the prophet Daniel predicted the little horn would alter them. And we know that he did. We also know that they had previously existed in order for him to have something to change. Now, what else do we need to know? What comfort can we get from all this? Well, the spirit of prophecy, Ellen White, comes to our rescue. Prophets and Kings 6:78, quote, "In the time of the end, every divine institution is to be restored. The breach made in the law at the time of the Sabbath was changed by man is to be